All right. Video lecture, civil rights video lecture number 2. As we mentioned in the first one, Brown versus Board of Education, huge win to fight de jure segregation. It struck down an earlier Supreme Court case, and that being Plessy versus Ferguson. Again, it's not going to fight. It's not going to win de jure segregation. De facto segregation, because that was just ways of life, customs for people. As you saw with Orville Fabus and the Little Rock, Arkansas, Little Rock Central Arkansas, those 9 students that had to be escorted into the school by federal troops. The civil rights movement really gets its notoriety with the lady you see in the right-hand corner there. If you look at this bus on the left-hand corner, buses were segregated. And we're talking about public facilities, public buses. You see whites set in the front and then blacks set in the back. Now, it was customary that if the white section filled up, that the white section could then sit in the black section. And if a white person did need to sit in the black section, then that black individual had to give up their seat. Rosa Parks did nothing wrong. She sat in the front row of the black section, and as the white section filled up, she was ordered or told by the bus driver to give up her seat to a white man who was sitting in the black section because the white section had filled up. Rosa Parks refused, and for that, Rosa Parks was arrested, as you see in the right-hand section. And then you see this is the evidence to the left of where she sat. She sat in the front row of the black section. She did nothing wrong, but was ordered to give up her seat. Now, please don't think that Rosa Parks, this is just something that she did. She, like many other blacks in the South, had already begun this peaceful protest movement. But this peaceful protest movement really starts later that afternoon, when blacks from Montgomery, Alabama, met at a local church called Dexter Avenue Church. There is a young man who is a preacher at that church. You should have heard of him. You should notice the picture in the left-hand corner there. That is Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Now, that afternoon, Dr. King decides to exercise his approach to attacking the civil rights movement, or attacking segregation in the South and discrimination. It is not a violent one. It is a movement of peaceful protest, very similar to what Gandhi did in India with the British apartheid. He will encourage blacks in Montgomery to participate in a 381-day bus boycott. That bus boycott was very significant to the buses in the city of Montgomery, Alabama, and it spread to other cities throughout Alabama. As you see, blacks in the South stopped riding buses, and many of the buses depended on blacks to ride them. So it was an economic boycott, and it really starts to strangle the buses in the South. And the buses in the South ask for a ruling to get rid of discrimination or get rid of segregation on their public facilities. You see this image here, and you see Gandhi in the upper left-hand corner. Because of the bus boycott and the significance and the impact that it made, a group started to form that is known as the SCLC, the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, led by Dr. King. And I love this image here of what they're trying to work for. They're not working against the white man. They want to use peaceful protests, peaceful boycotts to work with the white man. You see the black hand, the white hand, really grabbing together and signifying unity with one another. That's the areas, or that's the motive for Dr. King. And I love this quote here with him. Based on peaceful resistance and Christian love. Meaning, if you punch me, I'm going to love you back. I'm going to break the will of the white man to look at me differently. Now, his Dr. King's protest, these peaceful protests, led others around the nation to start peaceful protest. And one of the great symbols of peaceful protest took place in Greensboro, North Carolina, when 4 North Carolina A&T students on their lunch break from school decided to attend a lunch counter in downtown Greensboro. Now, when we talk about restaurants, there was a white section up front and there was a black section in the back. But these lunch counters were up front for everyone on the streets. They could look in and see the restaurant. Many restaurant owners in the South did not want blacks to be seen at these lunch counters, so the black areas would be in the back. These 4 students decided to attend Woolworth's lunch counter in downtown Greensboro and sit at the lunch counter, front and center of the restaurant. And they would not leave until they were served. This is a sit-in movement. And as you see, this one in Greensboro starts, and these sit-in movements spread throughout the southern states, and they're met with violence. But again, you see Dr. King here. This food's being poured on these people who are participating, and even white participated. But you see, there's no violence coming back. There's no retaliation. This sit-in movement throughout the southern states began to organize itself among young college students. And really, again, you see a lot of King's influence here with the nickname SNCC, the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. And you see the handshake over here, a white man and a black man. Again, Dr. King's approach, peaceful protest to work with the white man. And another example of peaceful protest were a group of individuals who decided to board these public buses in Washington, D.C., and they were going to ride these public buses, these Greyhound buses, throughout the southern states to protest bus segregation. We call these people freedom riders. As you look, they'll ride through many, Charlotte, Rock Hill, Winnsboro, Sumter, all through South Carolina. But it really, the freedom rider movement really takes a roadblock when they get into Alabama. As they come into Alabama, you see what happens to these buses. Many members of the KKK stop these buses, make them go through nail strips that will blow their tires as they come through these areas. And once these buses are stopped, they'll pipe bombs will be thrown on them. Just an act of violence from members of a white supremacist group in the South. But again, there were many buses, and many of the ones that were on the first bus just got off these buses and then moved to the second bus. No retaliation, just peaceful protest. Dr. King decides to focus on segregation at its root, where it was known as the most segregated city in America, and that being Birmingham, Alabama. Birmingham is led by a police commissioner by the name of Bull Connor. Bull Connor does not believe in integration. He uses his police force to maintain segregation in his city. And Dr. King leads a march in Birmingham to protest segregation. And as this march begins to take place, this is how the police and the fire department of Birmingham decide to deal with these protesters. You can see this. I love this image here. You see this cop allowing this dog to attack this black man who's protesting. And you see the black man, he's not retaliating back. He's standing there. But look at the cop, more importantly. He's not trying to stop the dog. He's trying to stop the black man. This is just a great symbol of what segregation was like in the city of Birmingham.